Hello everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and today I'm very excited to be unboxing Stars of Akarios. And inside of this large box, filling up the majority of the screen here, is a whole bunch of board game goodness. I cannot wait to dig into this one. This has been one I've been looking forward to for quite some time. So without further ado, we'll flip the box over, take a look at the back of it, and then we're going to dig inside. I'll show you all the components up close to give you a great idea as to everything you can expect to find inside. Stars of Akarios is a narrative-driven cooperative campaign game for 1 to 4 players set in the Akarios Galaxy. A typical session of play will start as players interact with the galaxy map and scout their next scenario as part of space exploration. This scenario may result in space combat, world exploration, or discovering more about the galaxy. Players will progress in the story of Stars of Akarios as they explore and venture further across the galaxy. The story is a sprawling narrative with opportunities for players to choose how to shape the story. Players will meet many memorable characters, discover unexplored regions of space, and unravel the mysteries of Stars of Akarios. You'll see a full list out of the components right here, but if you want them visually, then I'm going to give them to you a little bit later on in the video here, but 900 plus cards, pretty insane. And then on the far right hand side here, you'll see the Game Trays logo. Love seeing that because that means their storage solution inside of this thing is going to be great. And typically whenever Game Trays is involved, I've always been extremely happy to be able to get everything back inside the box in the right spots. Now you'll notice out of the gates, this thing does have some box lift, but I pretty much guarantee that once you go through actually punching everything out and sorting everything out, this box is going to sit flush. So we're going to go through all the components right now, so join me as we open up the box. When you first open up the box, you're going to find yourself a whole bunch of punch boards sitting on the very top, all sealed up. You're also going to find yourself a folded galaxy map. I'm going to lay this out so you can actually see it in full, and we're also going to open up these punch boards and go through them one by one. Here's a look at the galaxy map. Love seeing things like this. This really helps you to kind of get immersed inside of the world that this game is trying to pull you into. In this case, what looks to be a galaxy here with multiple stars, planets, and other areas all clustered together. We have the Rathan Empire up there, the United Intergalactic Alliance mentioned. So a number of things. Quite interested to explore this more so. And you'll also see there's dotted or shattered in areas here. So maybe there's things that are going to be placed on this as you go along through gameplay. Let's take a look at the punch boards here. I'll show you the front and back of all of these, and I'll tell you right out of the gates, I love the colors that are shown here. They're vibrant and they do pop right off of this cardboard. So looking pretty good. So we're gonna go ahead and just cycle through a number of these here. Again, I'm not familiar with what all these are, so I can't speak to too much just yet. But I'll give you a visual as to what you can expect inside here. There is a counted number at the very top, letting you know how many punch boards you have inside, size-wise, and then which side it is. I'm showing you both sides, so you can kind of see it all. Got some planets showing up now, some asteroids, all kinds of things that are going to show up in the galaxy on our adventures. We now head back inside the box. Just to mention, this was sitting on top of it, just a thin piece to keep things padded and safe. There was also plastic wrap around these dashboards, of which there are 4 of them, and the tray, or I should say the lid on top underneath, is actually keeping these player boards in place. So there's 4 of them. They're all exactly identical. I'll show you the front and back. I won't show you all 4. This is what they look like. Now we're going to go ahead and take these 4 out of the equation as we dig further into the box. With the player boards out, we've now taken the whole top tray right out of the game box, placed it here on the game table. I've loosened up the top so this comes completely off. It's also basically has Stars of Akarios written right inside the cover itself. Game trays right there as well. Awesome storage solution here for the cards. It's looking like you wouldn't be able to sleeve everything and get them back into these slots if you wanted to sleeve, but if you're talking with them unsleeved, well, that's what this tray is all about. It's got everything's got its spot. It's perfect. Now, there's 900 plus cards in this. Normally in unboxings, I would go through every single card, but I am also hesitant to do so, being this game is something of an exploratory journey. There is definitely going to be spoiler material inside of these cards, and on top of it, 900 cards is an obscene amount to sift through on camera. You guys will probably pass out by the time I get to the end of it. So instead, I'm going to show you just the bricks of cards themselves rather than going through absolutely everything. Here's a couple up close views of the different decks. I'll give you that. as I go through this tray here, just to give you an idea as to what you're getting here, which in my opinion looks to be a lot of content, a lot to explore. Some of these decks bigger than others. They all look awesome though. They're all sealed up as well, and you got some events here, for instance. These ones are enemy combat events. Attack boosters, deep strike. So many decks. And now we get to kind of the medium-sized cards. Again, these are not small decks. They're massive. There's so many cards in here. This is going to take quite a while just to get through them all. Got pilot abilities, co-pilot abilities. These look like modifier decks. Now what you just saw sat in the top inch of this box. We still have a lot more to go through. You'll see here we have pads, many of them across the box. And then underneath of it you have storage containers. Again, game trays doing their best job to give you that storage solution. We have some cubes of varying colors here. They're all translucent. So purple, red, what looks to be black, but might be kind of an off green or very, very dark green. I'm not sure. It looks like black though, unless I'm going blind. Yellow and blue. So we'll go ahead and just remove these out of the way so you can see the middle tray. Middle tray also has the name right on the front as well. And as we continue to go down through this box, I'm going to start to remove things so you can see more of what is in here. All right, we're continuing down below. The pads are out of the way. We'll move the next storage box here. You'll see inside of it, we have miniatures. There's cards as well. If we go ahead and just pop this open here, you can take a look up close at one of the miniatures. Looking pretty awesome. And you're going to see a stand here as well for the ship, and the ship itself is going to sit on that stand so that it's up off the game table. Pretty cool. It's got a deck of cards here to go through. So it has the ability to be stored all inside of these containers, one for each. And as we continue to unload the box and continue on further down inside, there's more to look at in this one. We also have this ship. What looks to be kind of a tray full of the ship-based cards, potentially. This one's called the Sparrow here. Must be the potential main ship that you're controlling inside of the game. Looking pretty cool. I love these trays. You can see everything's been cut in a way to house every single component that you'll find inside the box. Love it. And now we're getting a little bit closer to the bottom of the box here. We are seeing some more. Oh, wow, there is a lot here. Look at this. Look at the punch boards here. And these are all recessed or dual layer boards. So you can see that you can actually place cubes inside of them for slow, stun, stealth, a number of different trackers on either side. There's a whole bunch of these, like a whole bunch. They're all sitting on that far left-hand side. There's another massive deck of cards. These ones go over combat effects. Looks like it breaks out the actual world itself here. This is probably the one you're going to be traversing across with these larger cards. This is just nuts. The scale of this thing's crazy. And you've got pads, more pads. These ones are for Act 2, 3, and they show cycles along the bottom. And then it's got additional pads, Violet Ray, Ground, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Yolindo, Starla. And they all have these like crazy, oh, I guess these ones are actually tied to the ship, I think. Well, it says call sign, squad name, ship name. Yeah, and it's got like the breakdown of the different things that you're leveling up across them. It just looks super, super cool. I don't know enough about the ins and outs of this game just yet, but man, does this ever entice me to the nines. I was super excited about this one, but it's been a long time. I kind of forgot what this thing involved, and it looks huge. And you've got this board here, which you're going to have to break open or break the seal on and show you this laid out. So let's do that right now. Now this is a beautiful thing. It looks really, really cool, but I'm going to go ahead and angle this so that you can actually see. Do you see that shine happening there on the edges for each of the hexes? Yeah, that's across the entire board itself. So I'm going to go ahead and just lift this so you can actually see that on the board itself. Do you see it? Looks pretty incredible, doesn't it? Like, it looks pretty awesome. So the game board is just absolutely beautiful. It's across the entire thing. It looks superb. Now this is one side of the game board. If you flip it over to the opposite side, it looks like this, just deep space, darkness, nothing at all. Now also, what was inside of that pack that was all sealed up is the rulebook itself. Now, I'm not going to be going through the entirety of the rulebook here in this video, but I will be showing you the first handful of pages, the back pages, and maybe some along the way to give you an idea as to how this rulebook flows and looks in terms of its format. So you can see here campaign setup, player setup, space combat, space exploration, world exploration. Solo rules come in at 33, page 33. We'll definitely be stopping there. Adjusting the difficulty if you want to, rule questions, community in the app, dependencies, and you have the index. And of course, all the components here laid out. As you jump into the rulebook itself, it talks about the story, the gameplay overview, gets into the campaign setup and what you need to get going, and then it gets you right into the player setup on the right. It wouldn't be a space exploration game or adventure game if you weren't able to choose the pilot you're going to be as well as your ship. You have options here. You saw me open up one of those square boxes earlier on that had a pilot and a ship inside of each of them, and they're all represented here. And then of course you continue on with your player setup from there and jump right into the campaign. Now I had to stop on this page because this shows a full scenario setup. So you can see an example of having a two-player game basically going on here with two pilots. You got your ships out there on the space map. You also have a number of different planets and areas to discover or interact with. You have cards laying around. It doesn't look like that this takes up a ton of table space, and based on that pull-out board, the world map or the space map, it's 4 quadrants of a square board, and it's actually quite contained. I'm surprised that it's not actually massive and taking up the entire table here. So just because of that alone, it might be quite easy to get this onto smaller tables, which is a huge benefit for a campaign game. And this is generally going to be the layout and look of the rulebook as you move through the learning experience. Jumping ahead at light speed, you'll see the solo rules on page 33. It says there are 2 ways to play Stars of Akarios solo. The first is to control one pilot and ship throughout the entire campaign. The second is to control multiple pilots and ships. So you can choose between one or the other, and it will talk about what to do in either case. The rulebook does mention that you can change and adjust the difficulty if you find solo play or multiplayer too easy. So there's difficulty levels that range from easy, normal, medium, hard, very hard, insane to abyss, which at that point I'm assuming it's just absolutely insane. You have Iron Man mode as well, and there's something else we're talking about, and that is the app. So there is an iOS, Android app that allows players to create custom scenarios and campaigns and share content with friends and others. So that is probably going to really grow as it has a lot of the story of the game, a creation kit inside of it, and community stories kind of all wrapped together in a bow. And this is something that's always nice to see on the back of rulebooks, a quick reference guide that not only shows icons and what they mean, but also walks through all the major phases of the game, whether it be the pilot actions, enemy actions, end of round, space combat scenario, stress thresholds, all that is explored here and talked about. You got space exploration, world exploration, and all this stuff broken out to really help you as a reference. Continuing down inside the box, we're getting to the lower tier section of this box. It has a large scenario book here, coil bound, wrapped up. We'll have to take a quick look at that without spoiling anything. I'll open that up, maybe show you the first couple or few pages. We have a whole bunch of miniatures inside of here, as well as some of the game components like the dice, which look pretty awesome. Got a bunch of hexes here, and we've already gone through this section here with the cards underneath. This section here opens up and there are more miniatures under here, so I'll show you a couple of these close up. So this is one of the bigger ships here. And again, what's really cool is they all have like the holes in the bottom so that you can place them on the base like this and have them actually up off the table, which is really cool. And it's definitely going to add to the look of the game. Again, I don't know if this is the correct base, but here's a somewhat decent example of it off the ground. So it looks pretty awesome. And I'll go ahead and just show you a few more of these miniatures because there's a whole bunch of other ships in here too. Here's a look at the scenario book inside of the game. I'm going to show you just the first few pages so I don't spoil anything here, but you'll see it dictates everything in terms of what's the rule book, the game board, the base trays, how everything goes back into those trays, and where they're supposed to go, plus the narrative. There's a learn to play here as well using a QR code if you need it. Let's go ahead and flip over to the next page here, and it jumps right into a training mission. So right off the bat, gives you an objective to eliminate all the enemy ships before they destroy a satellite. Shows you the whole deep space map, how to set things up, and again walks you through all these steps to help you learn the game. You're going to continue going through this likely into the conclusion of this training scenario, which will take you all the way through to about here, I think, and this is where things really begin. So you end off there, but then you begin the main portion of the story leading off from here. And going forward, I don't really want to show too much more because, well, that's going to get into some stuff that you're going to want to see as you progress inside the campaign. But based on the thickness of this book, which is ridiculous, this thing comes in at, let's see, wow. It's 197 pages. That is a large book. And it looks extremely cool, and I love the fact that it's coil bound all the way through, because coil bound for a book like this, when you're going to be heavily using it, very handy. So we've reached the bottom of the box, and now I've begun to put things back inside the box, working my way back up to the very top. I wanted to show you all 4 of the pilot and ship boxes opened up, so you can actually see the miniatures inside for each of them. You'll see there's different ships for each. There's also different characters for each in terms of which miniature is used. So you're going to have options here to choose from, as you saw inside of the rulebook. And that, my friends, is going to wrap up this game unboxing for Stars of Akarios. I really enjoyed going through all the components with you guys. Of course, there was 900 cards that we didn't go through one by one. I'll leave you to discover all of those as you go on your journey through the galaxy inside of this game. This is a miniatures expansion, so it literally just has miniatures of ships that are found within the game. We'll go ahead and take the box lid off, and I'll show you them all. Inside there are 2 full trays of miniatures. These are going to really bolster the immersion factor within the game, especially if you're deciding to go ahead and paint them. I'll go ahead and just lift this top section out so you can see what's underneath. More miniatures underneath, more spaceships, more vessels, and there's also a whole bunch of those stands to keep them far up off the galaxy and the game mat to give them that pop off the game table. So this is another nice addition to the immersion factor of what this game has to offer. And that, my friends, is truly going to do it for this game unboxing. I really hope you enjoyed it from start to finish. Thank you guys so much for your support, and as always, keep on rolling solo.